So let's talk about securing generative AI. There's this paradox, right? You hear two totally different things. One camp says, hey, it's just another component, no big deal. But then the other camp is saying, whoa, this is something brand new, something we've never dealt with before. So which is it? Let's get into it. And that really is the core question we're going to dig into. Can we just, use our usual security toolkits, or does this creative, kind of unpredictable nature of GenAI mean we need a totally new playbook? Well, the answer, and this is the interesting part, is both. And getting your head around that duality, that's the secret to keeping your system safe. All right, so first up, let's start with what we already know. It's so easy to get caught up in all the hype around this shiny new tech, right? But it's super important to remember that at the end of the day, a GenAI model is still just a component. It's one piece inside a much bigger application. This chart right here, the Gartner hype cycle, it really nails where we are with GenAI. We're smack in the middle of that peak of inflated expectations. Everyone is obsessing over the features, How big is the token window? How fast is it? What cool new things can it do? But to actually get to the plateau of productivity, and that's where the real value is, we've got to shift our focus. It has to be about integration. It means we have to start treating AI like any other production system, and that means all the security, all the governance that goes with it. And that's the key takeaway here. All those standard best practice security rules, they absolutely still apply. You can't just slap a public endpoint on your model and call it good. No way. You still need secure networking like private endpoints. You need strong identity management. And I mean managed identities, not just pasting keys everywhere. The principle of least access, still critical. Governance, policy, monitoring, the whole shebang. Forgetting the basics just because the tech is new, that is a recipe for disaster. Okay, so we've got the baseline covered. All the normal stuff still counts. But now, let's pivot. Let's talk about what makes Gen AI so fundamentally different, what makes it so much harder to secure than anything we've really seen before. And the whole thing really boils down to this one word, non-determinism. See, with normal software, it's simple. You put in A, you always get out B. It's predictable. You can write a test for that. But with Gen AI, you can give it the exact same prompt 5 times and get 5 slightly different answers back. That unpredictability, that's what makes it so tough to nail down what it's going to do or say next. I love this quote because it just perfectly captures the new kind of vulnerability we're facing. We're not dealing with rigid, logical code anymore. Instead, it's like we're dealing with a super smart junior employee who's really creative and just wants to please you. But they're also not great at keeping secrets. And because they want to be helpful, they're really susceptible to being tricked, to social engineering. And that unique personality, right? It opens the door to a whole new world of attacks. Attacks that just plain don't work on traditional software. So let's take a look at what they are. So the big one, the main threat you hear about, is called prompt injection. Now, there's the direct attack, people call it a jailbreak. That's when an attacker literally tells the model in the prompt, hey, ignore your safety rules and do this bad thing for me. But the indirect attack, that's way sneakier. Imagine an attacker hides malicious instructions in, say, white text on a white background inside an email. When your AI assistant goes to summarize that email for you, it reads everything, including those hidden commands, and bam, it executes them. And these attacks are getting seriously sophisticated. Take something called the crescendo attack. It's like a masterclass in socially engineering an AI. The attacker doesn't just come out and ask for the secret stuff. No, they start a totally innocent conversation, and then over a bunch of turns, they just subtly nudge the AI, twisting its own responses back on it, manipulating it step by step until it finally gives up the very information it was designed to protect. It's pretty wild. So the big question is, how do you even fight that? Well, the major platforms are in this constant arms race with the attackers. Their main weapons in this fight are things like built-in content filters, which scan for obviously harmful stuff, and these newer prompt shields. And these are designed specifically to try and catch both those direct jailbreaks and the really sneaky indirect attacks before they can cause any trouble. Okay, so we've got the old rules on one side and these brand new threats on the other. How in the world do you combine them into a defense strategy that actually works? Well, it all comes down to understanding one thing: who is responsible for what? And this table here, this is basically the playbook for modern AI security. It's the shared responsibility model.
Look, if you're on the far left, running your own model on your own VMs, that's infrastructure as a service. Then guess what? You're responsible for everything. The infrastructure, the model, checking it for backdoors, all of it. But as you shift to the right, to a platform as a service like Azure AI, the vendor starts taking on things like model security. And if you go all the way to the right, to a SaaS solution like a Copilot, the vendor handles almost everything. But, and this is the crucial part, look at that one row, data governance and security. That's always on you, no matter what.
So if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Your number one strategy should be to push your security responsibility as far to the right on that chart as your use case will let you. Why? Simple. Do you want to be the one defending against the next crescendo attack? Or do you want the vendor, with their giant teams of PhDs and security experts, to handle that crazy, complex job? Let them do it. That frees you up to focus on the things only you can control, your app logic, and most importantly, protecting your own data.
When you boil it all down, securing GenAI is about mastering this weird duality, right? It's about applying that old school security discipline to this totally new and unpredictable technology. But it does leave us with one last, kind of nagging question. We're in this endless cat-and-mouse game. The AI gets smarter, but the attacks get smarter too, and it's all happening at this incredible speed. So as these AI systems become even more intelligent, even more autonomous, can our defenses really keep up?